Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to update my reading journal with the books I read in August and also a few other things that I want to include. But first we are going to skip the spreads that need the ratings of the books because we are going to go back after I do the book reviews and we just have to update the challenges and a few spreads in the initial setup as usual. I can add the letters C and I to the alphabet challenge for the books Caught Up and Ignite Me, and the green color in the rainbow challenge for King of Envy. And those were the 3 books that I read this month. We are going to skip the bingo because I didn't accomplish any of the remaining prompts, and we are going to add Chicago in the book places. Continuing to the book series, I can update the Kings of Sin since I read the 5th book, the Into the Darkness with the 2nd book, and the Shatter Me series because I read the 3rd book. And I lost my marker again, I know. So I'm just going to give up and use whatever marker is close enough to the color itself. I actually forgot to color in the Shatter Me row, but I'm going to go back and fix later. Now, I made a little change in my reading log because I ran out of space. Again, just like last year, but don't worry, I'm going to fix that in my next reading journal. So I used my scrap piece of paper that are from Dutch doors and things like that. I cut them to size, colored every second line and made the columns to blend a little more with the table, and to put that in place I added a little piece of washi tape inside and outside. It's not very big because I only need it to last until September, because I have exciting news, at least for me, that I'm going to tell you later. Again, we are going to leave the ratings for later, and now we have to update my other reading log. This one is almost like a catalog. I love how it looks, so I'm going to move this spread to 2026 as well. And now I can talk a little bit about the books. So the ones that I read this August were King of Envy by Anna Wong, which I gave 5 stars, Caught Up by Navessa Allen, which I gave 3.5 stars, and Ignite Me by Taira Mafi, which I gave 4.5 stars. Now I'm going to just give you my opinion and I'll save the full review for the book spreads. So starting with King of Envy. King of Envy was obviously my favorite. I'm so happy with Anna Wong for bringing back the morally grey characters, and I loved Vuk, Ayana and Shadow, the little cat. The plot was so interesting on both sides and I loved the romance. For Caught Up, I was disappointed. After I loved Lights Out, which is the first book in the series or trilogy, I'm not sure, I was expecting something different, I guess. I liked both characters and the plot was really interesting, but I didn't like the smut, which is weird for me, but that was a hick of mine, and I wanted more of the mafia plot. For Ignite Me, the series continues to be awesome. I'm loving every second of it. Kenji is the absolute best, and Aaron and Juliet are still amazing. But even though I love the story and the plot, I think the last third of the book was a little rushed. The problem was solved really quickly, and I didn't have that satisfied feeling, you know? I even thought that a cliffhanger would be better, which is a lot because I hate cliffhangers. So this month was a little bit of everything, but overall I think it was good. I had fun reading each book, and I'm reading right now a young adult fantasy book. Yeah, I know, who am I? Well, I wanted to read this one for a while now, so I'll give you a hint. It's a duet, so tell me in the comments which book you think it is. For the Year of Goober, I chose Caught Up for the prompt physical book, which is for the flower Gladiolus, which means strength. Isn't it funny that almost every flower matched the cover of each book? I just noticed that, and it wasn't on purpose, but somehow it happened, and I'm really happy with that. I just love matching things. So now that the initial spreads are all done except for the ratings, we are moving on to the monthly cover spread. And my vacation was so inspiring that I changed everything. I know that in my last reading journal updates I said that I was going to continue doing the calendar on the left page, even though I don't like it anymore for consistency's sakes until the end of the year. But it's my journal. I can do whatever I want with it, so if I don't like something, I'm going to change it. So this is your sign to change something that you don't like in your journal, even if you wanted to keep it for consistency. For this theme, I chose the sticker sheet from Ikigai Papier, or Hedda from Moshi Bujo here on YouTube. It's the Sun Goddess, and I think it matches August really well, because at least here in Portugal is very hot and very sunny, so I'm bringing that vibes onto my journal as well. I use this sheet as the basis for my collage, and I chose everything according to these stickers. I used a bunch of papers to build a background in beige and orange and brown tones to complement the color palette of the stickers. Everything that I'm using is going to be linked down below if I can find a link for it, and also all my affiliate links and discount codes are also in the description if you see something you like and want to save a little bit of money while helping me as well. Most of the stickers that I'm using in these spreads are going to be from Ikigai Papier or Journal Say, but I'm going to tell you as I go. If you want to know how I come up with my collages and the techniques that I use, I talk more about that in my September plan with me. I'll link the video if you are interested. I think it's more about intuition and vibes and see what looks good next to each other, but sometimes some techniques help a little more. Here I just used the papers as a background and I added 3 washi tapes to bring a little more color and detail to the collage, because I wanted more contrast and the brown washi tape gives me that, and for the detail the gold grid washi tape is a subtle way to bring something more to the collage without being overwhelming. Then I just layered the stickers as I wanted to give the impression that the flowers were behind the goddess. As you can see, the papers don't take the attention away from the goddess because she's very colorful and the main focus of the page, which is always my goal when creating a collage. It's having a main focal point and then working with the rest to make sure that the attention is not stolen. On the left page, as I said before, I'm not doing the calendar anymore. Also, if you are new and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can see all my reading journals videos because I did one every month. But this time I'm making a page that I saw Hedda doing. I'm going to link her channel down below if you want to see her videos because I love her spreads. And I was really inspired to try this one myself. This is pretty much another collage, but instead of having a main focal point, the focus of this one is the frames in the middle. In each frame I'm going to put the name of each book that I read this month, and these frames are from Journal Say, and I really love them, but they were a little too big to fit in here, so I cut a portion of the middle and I just glue them together. If you look closely, you can see the cut in the middle, but from afar it's fine. Now I'm just going to decorate the rest with the remaining stickers on the sticker sheet and writing the title of each book in the frames with a black fine liner, while Safira tries to sabotage me. For the August title, I wrote in my usual calligraphy style with this ohuhu marker in this beige, and to give more definition, I made an outline with an orange fine liner. Sometimes it's fun to do a lettering style that fits the theme, like for example, if I'm doing a gothic theme, I can do a gothic font. I do that pretty often in my book spreads depending on the vibe of each book, but sometimes when I don't know which style to go for, I do the title in my typical style, and it's kinda like my base font. Now that the cover spread is done, we can move on to the first book review, that's for King of Envy. For this, I'm going to use these two vellum papers for the edges of the spread, and I'm inverting the places to create some balance on this spread. And it's green and gold because I like to match the decoration to the book covers. For the rest of the materials, I'm going to use a city landscape PET tape from Journal Say and also a green lace PET tape from the washi tape shop. Then the share and the little cat that you're going to see are both from a PET tape, also from the washi tape shop. As I said before, everything is linked down below. And now for the actual review. The story follows Ayana, a beautiful supermodel that's currently engaged to one of New York's most eligible bachelors. But what people don't know is that the engagement is only a business arrangement between the two of them, a deal made to get Ayana the money she needs to leave her abusive agency. And everything's going well, that is, until she meets her fiance's best man, Vuk Markovich. He's a notorious billionaire and known for almost never talking, and is currently in a very hard situation because he saw Ayana first. He wanted Ayana first, but she's engaged to his oldest friend, and he's torn between loyalty and desire. But when the wedding is thrown into chaos, Vuk and Ayana must deal with their feelings and Vuk's past. This book was amazing. I never thought that I would enjoy this type of trope, but I did for this book and also for Exed by Emily McIntyre. It's a similar trope but not the best friend part of it. And of course, King of Envy has a mafia plot. I'm so down for this. I love a good mafia romance, even though this one is not that direct, if that makes sense. Ayana is very lovely. I love her personality, and she's so hardworking and goes through a lot in this fashion industry, which is something that I really loved in this book because I think it's an industry that doesn't appear that often in books, at least the ones that I read, and I really enjoyed learning more about the other side of things, the ugly side, because of course everything that's mentioned in the book regarding the fashion industry, it happens in real life for sure, unfortunately, but that's reality. And Vuk is such a man. I mean, where can I get one? He's amazing. He's truly devoted to Ayana even when she doesn't know. And his past, oh my god, I knew it wasn't going to be pretty, but that was worse than I anticipated. Shadow the little cat is the main character of this book for sure. He truly carried the plot, he saved the day more than once, and he's a wild soul. He does what he wants, when he wants. So, if you love mafia romance, forced proximity, and forbidden love, read this one. And now I'm really excited for the next one, that's, I think, King of Gluttony. For the title, I used these really pretty stamps from Journal Say. I just wish they were bigger. And then for the quotes, I chose this one. She deserved to be the best option. In fact, there were no other options, there was only her. which, come on, Vuk Markovic, marry me please. And the other one is My Heart in Serbian, which I'm not going to read because I'm going to butcher it for sure, and it's Vuk nickname for Ayana. You can already tell that I'm obsessed, but we must continue on. Next we have Caught Up. For this one the decoration is more simple. I just used this red pattern paper that I got from Runa Maruti's Patreon rewards, and it reminds me of a room that's featured in the book, at least that's how I imagine it to be, and the rest is all from Journal Say. We have the main sticker that I think it's quite close to how I imagine the main character to be, and then I try to cover most of his outfit with these flowers because he's more of a biker style, but I didn't have it, so I tried to hide it. And then I just used some colored squares from Ikigai Papier and a black red washi tape to finish the details. So the story follows Lauren. She's a webcam girl, she takes videos and photos of herself, and she has a growing community online. She is no longer the shy and bookish girl she was back in high school, because some things are better left in the past. She's working to defend the rights of sex workers, and she tries to make every online client happy. And one of them is quite happy, but seeing her from afar is no longer enough, and that's the reality of Nico Jr. Nico is in the family business, or should I say mafia, and he's done with it. He wants to get out and finally try to live a different life, because it was the consequences of this current one that broke the relationship between him and Lauren back in high school, and he wants to win her back, but not the traditional way. The story itself is quite interesting and entertaining, but I wanted more. I wanted to know more about the mafia plot, and I wanted a little more humor because it was such an important part of the first book, which is Lights Out, and I know they are completely different books and the stories are different as well, but I can't help but searching for the type of humor that was present in the other book. I liked both characters, and I think the mission that Lauren's trying to complete is very honorable, and I really love that this type of topic was mentioned in the book because I think it's still a very taboo topic, but an important one. I also enjoyed Nico, and he's very interesting, but I don't know, I just didn't connect so much with the couple. And the thing that actually gave me the hick was the smut parts. Not all of them, but the majority, because, and this is totally my thing, it's a problem of mine, and that is the voyeurism and some of the kinks mentioned in the book that Lauren has. And if anyone is into this, is totally fine, just do whatever makes you happy, just do it safely, but it's not my thing. And at first I was okay, just get through this, but in the end there was a scene that I actually skipped because it was too weird for me. One thing is strangers, the other is your friends. And again, is just my personal opinion and my personal hick. I think if the plot didn't have that, I would appreciate the book much more, but I get it, it was important to the story and also for Lauren, but for me it was difficult. Also, I know that I could read the content warnings, but usually I'm not bothered by them. I don't like this type of kinks, but usually I just don't care. But it was very heavy on this book, and that was a little hard for me. I chose two quotes: "Nothing is ever black and white, not even the moth," and the other is, I don't want to clip your wings slow, I want to see you fly. And now we can move on to Ignite Me. I can't say much about the book without spoiling the other two, so I'm not giving details. I still love the story, it's very interesting, and I think it's time for a little world building. Usually, I don't really want to read about that, I just need the important parts and that's it, because most of the times it's pretty boring, but I think we need a little bit of that in the next book. For the characters, I still love Aaron, Juliet, and Kenji, and I still hate Adam. The relationships, both love and friendship, between everyone are shaking. It's a very difficult time for everyone, and they are working through it. And the solution to the problem was solved really quickly. I think it was a little bit rushed. Sometimes I would pause and think about what was happening because it was too fast. I'm not mentioning the character, but I think their death was too easy and too fast. I get it that it was necessary to be this quick, but I just wished it would be slower because they deserved it. Also, I think everything was a little too easy in general. The public was won over too easily. I get it that they want revolution, but after what happened in the second book, you would expect them to be a little more afraid, so I think that was a little bit unrealistic. And that are the reasons that I didn't give this book 5 stars, even though I loved it. And that's also why I'm enjoying this rating system so much. It was for me to be more critical about the ratings, and it's working. And now let's move on to the new part of my reading journal updates. I'm also going to make little collages for the manga, manhwas, and webtoons that I read. Honestly, I was so inspired after going through my old journals, and I really wanted to make this type of spreads again, so I'm going to include this from now on. Also, if you are not interested in this part, you can skip through it, but I think it's still fun to see the collages coming to life. And the first manhwa is Dead Man's Switch. After finishing his final assignment, Jung Oh-yoon fell into a deep sleep and he wakes up on Christmas morning to someone being ripped apart. Some of the students who remained at school became zombies for an unknown reason, and when Jung tried to run away, he crosses paths with Ki Won-young, who kills the zombies with no remorse, but he's interested in saving Jung. But that's because there's a reason for that. I loved this story. The plot is not just zombies, it's very interesting, and when it all clicks, the plot twist is amazing. Also, you should know that I mostly read BL yaoi, and they are quite heavy on smut, so be careful if you want to read any of these manhwas. For these new spreads, I'm just going to make a little collage with the characters from the stories and make the title, and I'm not going to write anything about it. Also because I don't give ratings to the manhwas, I just remember if I liked it or not. And this is going to also help me in the future, remembering if I read this story before or not, since there are so many manhwas out there and sometimes I forget if I read it before or not. For the title, I used the alphabet stickers from Ikigai Papier because they were small enough to put in the collage since the title is quite long. And now we're moving on to the next, which is Profundis. This one was a roller coaster of emotions. It has a trope that I don't love, which is RM, polyamorous, that kind of thing. I just prefer when it's just a couple, but the plot was interesting enough to keep me there. The story is set in Guideverse, which is kinda like Solo Leveling if you've watched that anime, The Gates and the Portals, but in the Guideverse it's that, and also it has the hunters and the guides. And the guides are basically the healers. And it's been 13 years since mutants crawled into the earth from the abyss, and among those also came Almuten, which caused a catastrophe. During that time, the guide Baek Young-gun's life was saved by S-class hunter Woo Shin-jae, who proposed the conditions of everyone's guide and to obey his orders while also following him to the gates to kill Almuten. It sounds a bit confusing, and I was a little bit confused as well, but then it makes sense and the plot is actually pretty enjoyable and much more enjoyable than the romance part. Also, it's a little tragic, and the romance between everyone is really toxic. It has 5 guys for one guide, which is the man with the black hair, and he actually ends up with just one of the guys in the end. I'm not that shocked because I'm pretty used to the BL and yaois being very toxic. Sometimes I just love the art style and I stay for that, but don't worry, I also read BL with green flags, but unfortunately the majority is red flags. I forgot to mention, but this manhwa and the Dead Man's Switch is made by the same author. I wanted to recreate the title, so I used the silver pen to do that, and I know that I'm butchering all the names, but I'm trying my best, so please don't come for me. Okay, now we have a manhwa that has more than one title. I chose the one that I came across, which is Dead Sex Apparition, which makes very sense with the story, but the other title is Dead Colored Ghost. So, every night, Ong Hyo-sin has a dream where he is assaulted by this snake-like monster. As an aftermath of these nightmares, he suffers from frustration down there, and his everyday life becomes difficult. That's when Yom Juan, a man introducing himself as an exorcist, shows up, and they decide to live together to start a routine to exterminate the monster. I know it sounds very weird, but it actually has a pretty good reason, and the sticker that I'm putting on the background is a way to bring that reason onto the collage without having to write about it. It is horror, supernatural, and mystery, which I love. One of the reasons for me to start doing these collages again was this sticker book that has these pretty landscapes. I also have the characters sticker version. I got it from Journalsay in my last haul and I wanted to use them, but I can't really use them in my bullet journal because it doesn't have enough to make a theme, and I can't use it in my reading journal for the books because it doesn't really match with the vibe of the books that I read, so this is a way to start using them. This story was very entertaining, and I previously read manhwas that had a similar plot, but they were very weird and didn't make a lot of sense, so I was really happy with how the story evolved and how the solution was given with a proper backstory for both characters and the problem. I used again some alphabet stickers, this time from Journalsay, to put the title. I usually like to end lettering the title, but when the collage is smaller, I prefer using stickers to make my life easier. And for some reason, when I use these ones, I end up putting them in the wrong place. So after I put them onto the paper, I have to move them to the right place. I think it happens because I can't predict that well how much space it needs, so I just have to arrange them and it looks better. The final page is for Cozy Obsession. This was by far my favorite manhwa that I read this month. I honestly was expecting a red flag and toxic and abusive relationship, but it never came. It was so wholesome, I loved the main characters, but first I'll explain the story. Yumin Seo happened to read a tragic BL novel where the two main characters had both his name and even his best friend's name, Yeon Sha. But rather than remaining as an incredible coincidence, this book becomes a new reality for Yumin. Before he knows it, he is transmigrated right into a major scene in the novel where Yumin Seo, a rare dominant Omega, gets bought off in an auction by Yeon Cha, a powerful dominant Alpha. Aware of the complications in this love-hate relationship that he cannot escape from, Yumin must tread carefully to turn things around entirely and not have the same ending as the novel. So, as the blurb says, this is an isekai Omegaverse. I don't usually love Omegaverse because it's the same story over and over, but this one was so good. I honestly spent hours of my night reading it because I was invested in the story. Sometimes it was a little bit confusing because Yumin Seo was two ages different in the reality and in the novel, and it was a mess. But when the plot twist happens, it was incredible, and a lot of the situations were explained. Honestly, if you like BL or yaoi manhwas with smut, this one has an incredible plot. It just keeps getting better and better, and the main character is a genius, not the usual innocent dumb Omega. For this one, I did a title with my lettering because it deserved it, and the space on the page was good for it. And now the news that I have is that I'm only going to make one more month in this journal because I don't have more pages. I used a lot this year, I don't know why, and I only have enough, I think, to put September. So the good news is that I'm starting a new reading journal for the final 3 months of 2025. I'm going to use a traveler size notebook. I don't need another A5 because it's only for 3 more months and I can experiment a little bit with the size. So I'm going to have a reading journal setup coming in a few weeks, if everything works well, and then another reading journal setup in December for 2026. I'm so excited for this, and I'm hoping that you'll get more inspiration for your next reading journal, whether you're starting now or in January, so subscribe so you don't miss it. Now we're going back to the initial setup, and we're going to fill up the ones that needed the ratings. Also, I'm not going to add the manhwas or mangas into my initial setup because I only want the data for the books, and the collages are just for fun and a way to use the stationery that I can't use elsewhere. I'm already thinking about 2026, so I already know which one I'm going to use. I'm thinking of trying out a square journal from Tifosi. I love their designs and I really wanted to try out the square size. So Tifosi, if you're watching, please reach out to me. I love your notebooks. And now it's time for the final flip through. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give a like, subscribe, and comment down below a sun emoji if you watched till the end. And let me know if you like this new addition in my spreads. I know it's a little different than usual, but I really enjoy doing this, even if it's more work for me to edit. But I love this type of videos, so I hope you love it as well. I'm really excited for the fall season and reading spooky books for Halloween, so goodbye summer, I'm manifesting cozy vibes. I hope you have a lovely day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!